For as long as people have told stories in video games, they've been trying to find ways to better connect players with the characters and worlds they've created. They've painstakingly labored to give emotional weight and deeper significance to the clusters of code, polygons, and textures that players interact with for hours at a time. And for the better part of 30 years, games have ascended to become a respected storytelling medium that has created iconic and emotional experiences that players will never forget.
Now that's a hell of a thing. What?
No. No. Please.
I love you.
I love you.
Now go! Get!
Now, that's video games at their best. But what happens when an interactive art form rips away the choice and turns what should be a heartfelt moment into a cold and distant button prompt? Well, you end up with the single dumbest, most memed upon moment in the history of video games. But this clunky moment from 2014's Call of Duty Advanced Warfare has evolved from its dank origins. It's become one of the most powerful memes on Twitch, one that's completely separate from its original meaning. One where failure takes center stage. F's in the chat.
Can we get some F's in the chat?
F in the chat.
Can we get an F in the chat for that one, boys?
So every time a new Call of Duty is announced, we're bombarded with carefully crafted marketing intended to get you to buy the damn thing. And Advanced Warfare was no exception. Despite the fact that the game could be played on PS3 and Xbox 360, Advanced Warfare was being pushed as a fresh start for the franchise on PS4 and Xbox One.
The future tech in the game is actually based on technology that we see today, and we've taken it further. That's one of the things about Call of Duty. It's got to be relatable, got to be believable. But we are taking it to an extent that makes it also fun and new.
Advanced Warfare leaned hard into the cinematic, Hollywoodized storytelling that 2007's Modern Warfare introduced to the series. And in order to take that trademark style to the next level, developer Sledgehammer Games brought in screenwriter John McInnes to craft the game's narrative.
They were very much interested in exploring this sort of notion of, the corporatization of war. What does that look like? And also, Advanced Warfare takes place in 50 years' time. So things that are happening now or were happening now, what could that possibly look like in 50 years' time?
But more than its murderous drone swarms or the villain who shall not be named, Advanced Warfare will always be remembered for one thing. Press F.
He leaves behind family, friends, fellow Marines, and a grateful nation.
Advanced Warfare was a hit on release, but people pretty much forgot about it as the years went on. The meme, though, has outlived its origins. The internet took a minor moment from a game and blew it up to the point where it became a cultural phenomenon.
I will try and check it out. Thank you for... Why? I can't read donations and play at the same time. It's just impossible.
Press F became such a ubiquitous meme that even Conan O'Brien took the opportunity to ridicule the ham-fisted emotion it imposed on players.
Hold X to pay respect. Should I do it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is a really emotional moment for me. Clink.
The funeral scene simplifies complex feelings down to a button prompt. And ironically, it's this forced interactive element that causes the scene to fall flat emotionally. Because by asking players to press a button, you've moved the focus off of the intended emotion and onto the lame button prompt itself. Now, John says the button prompt was a byproduct of late-stage game development and the giant scale of the project.
So no, I mean, all that stuff is sort of out of my control as a writer and conceiving that. And it's somewhat inherent with the sort of scale of the production, because obviously on a smaller production, when you're doing a small indie game, you're sitting in a room with kind of your friends, like you're all being able to kind of see it. But when you're conceiving of a 3-year cycle of a game and 20 or so levels and Oscar-winning talent and massive budgets for these things, sometimes things get missed.
At the time, this scene drew comparisons to another game that basically did the same thing, but didn't f it up nearly as bad: Batman Arkham City. In that game, if you end up in the alley where Bruce Wayne's parents died, you can pay respects if you want to. The big difference is that in Batman, you're not forced to press anything. The game allows you to pay your respects. It feels more natural, more immersive, more organic. Whereas Press F just feels wrong. It reminds you that this is all fake and that in order to feel an emotion, you have to press a button. It's funny to think that if the developers had just followed the examples of other games doing this sort of thing well, one of the internet's greatest memes might have never been born. Another instance where button prompts actually work as intended was with a franchise like God of War. When the game was first released back in 2005, it too marketed itself as a grand cinematic experience, with the player taking on the role of a bloodthirsty anti-hero who slaughters his way through a messed up redemption arc. It achieved this grand sense of scale by not just forcing you to hack and slash your way through mythical gods, but by blending cutscenes with button prompts that led to big sweeping moments during the middle of these fights. The God of War button prompts were intuitive. They didn't tell you what to do. You just hit a button and cool stuff happened. Imagine it said press X to beat the shit out of Ares. That would look so stupid. But again, Advanced Warfare didn't learn any lessons from its elders, and as a result, Press F became an extensively ridiculed and celebrated meme. See, these days, Press F has taken on an entirely new meaning.
Diablo Immortal. We are so excited about this game.
In today's streaming culture, F's in the chat, or literally just the letter F, encompasses a bigger, more general sense of failure. From technical problems to XQC raging over dumb in-game deaths, F's in the chat expresses this almost cathartic connection between creator and chat. So whenever somebody something up, you can almost guarantee that F's will follow.
My desire to improve the production here is slipping away by the fucking second.
Why?
You guys in the chat can just deal with it, honestly. Do I have an overlay for the match timer? No. What are you typing F in the chat for?
Camera dead.
The camera isn't.
Me and Greek talk a lot. Friend.
Frat?
Friend.
Oh,
not lavu.
Oh. Not couple.
No.
Oh.
So, in a weird way, Advanced Warfare's ham-fisted attempt at creating emotional sentiment through a button command inadvertently spawned a new and intuitive prompt that achieves just that.
I didn't even know about it until a journalist called me up and said, what do you think of this? And I'm like, and then I go back and he sends me a link to the YouTube And suddenly I realized that the thing that I could very well be remembered for is the press F meme, rather than actually writing the whole thing.
Now, it's difficult to pinpoint when exactly press F to pay respects transformed into Fs in the chat. But it does appear that the popularity of the phrase began to climb in late 2018, 4 years after Advanced Warfare's release, hitting peak popularity in March and April of 2020, right around the time the world went to complete shit. This type of evolution is the foundation for memes, but more importantly, for language as well. And as a writer who deals with language for a living, John was happy to see the thing he helped create take on a second, separate life.
So it's interesting how that has a reality. I mean, this meme, this journey of this scene and this moment and the meaning of that and its radiation out into the world. And I have my intention of writing that scene. An actor and a director then interpret that intention, and that intention, hopefully is sort of, instilled into the game, into the movie, into the experience. But released into the world, it takes on whatever meaning it takes on.
At the end of the day, we are the defining feature of Fs in the chat. It's the League Pro who screwed up his gank. It's Flom as he whiffs his op shot while thousands watch in painful glee. What started out as a stupid button prompt that fell flat on its face has transformed into a gentle reminder that everyone messes up, from the biggest game companies to the smallest streamers. And that beautiful screw up inspired the internet to claim an entire letter to celebrate failure. Because as long as no one's getting hurt, we all love watching someone up.